Airports had always been routine for Laura Bennett. At 32, she had spent nearly a decade standing beneath fluorescent lights, checking IDs, scanning boarding passes, and watching bags glide across conveyor belts. Most travelers barely noticed her. She was just another uniform in a long line of uniforms. But Laura noticed everything. She believed rules weren't obstacles. They were safeguards. That morning felt different. Whispers drifted across the terminal. Radios crackled more often than usual. Supervisors moved with tense efficiency. The president was coming. Donald Trump would be passing through their airport. Security tightened instantly. Extra agents appeared. 9 units swept corridors. Metal detectors were recalibrated twice. But Laura stayed where she always did. Checkpoint C. Hands folded neatly, eyes alert. Power didn't change procedure. Rules were rules. When the motorcade arrived, the air seemed to tighten. Black suits flooded the terminal. Secret Service agents scanned faces, hands, shoes, corners. Cameras rose. Phones appeared. Murmurs spread like ripples through water. And then he stepped forward. Donald Trump looked ordinary. Dark suit, red tie, calm expression. He nodded to staff as he walked, as if he were simply another traveler catching a flight. When he reached Laura's station, she did exactly what she always did. She held out her hand. "Good morning, sir. May I see your ID and boarding pass?" The terminal froze. A few people gasped. Others stared. A security guard had just asked the President of the United States for identification. Trump smiled faintly and handed them over. Laura scanned the documents. Everything matched. Then she noticed something else. His carry-on hadn't been screened. "Sir," she said evenly, "I'll need your bag on the belt." The silence grew heavier. One Secret Service agent stepped forward. "Ma'am, the bag has already been cleared." Laura met his eyes. "It hasn't gone through my scanner." Trump raised an eyebrow. "You're stopping me?" "Yes, sir. No apology. No hesitation. Just truth." For a moment, nobody moved. Then Trump lifted a hand toward his agents. "Let her do her job," he said. "Rules are rules." Laura placed the bag onto the conveyor. The machine hummed. Blue light washed over the screen. Her stomach tightened. Inside the bag sat a compact metallic box, dense and unfamiliar. "Unidentified item." Laura said into her radio. "Request secondary inspection." Murmurs spread again. Trump leaned slightly closer. "You've got guts." Laura didn't look away. "I have responsibility." She opened the bag carefully. Inside lay the small metal box. She unlocked it and froze. No weapon, no electronics, just letters. Dozens of them, handwritten, folded, bound with ribbon. Some envelopes were yellowed, others smudged with ink. All looked handled many times. Trump's expression changed. "They're letters," he said quietly, "from veterans, from widows, from parents who lost children. I keep them with me." Laura lifted one carefully. "Why carry them?" Trump exhaled. "So I don't forget who policies touch." The terminal had gone completely silent. Laura returned the letters to the box and closed it. "I understand, sir, but you see why I had to check." Trump nodded. "You did the right thing." He hesitated, then reached back into the box. "Do you want to hear one?" Laura didn't trust her voice, so she simply nodded. Trump opened an envelope and read, "Dear Mr. President, my husband never came home from his last deployment. He believed he was fighting for a country that cared. I struggle every day explaining to our children why he isn't here. I don't want money. I don't want recognition. I just want to believe his sacrifice mattered." No one spoke. Not a phone camera moved. Trump folded the letter. "These remind me leadership isn't about power," he said. "It's about people." Laura answered softly, "Every person matters. That's why I couldn't make an exception." Trump looked at her thoughtfully. "Maybe I needed that reminder today." He turned to crowd. "This woman stopped the president because safety comes first. That's what real duty looks like." Applause erupted. Laura felt dizzy. Her supervisor rushed forward, panicked. "Sir," she delayed. Trump cut him off. "She protected people." Silence. The supervisor swallowed. "Yes, sir." As Trump prepared to leave, He paused. What's your name? Laura Bennett. I'll remember it. Then something unexpected happened. An elderly woman stepped forward, clutching a worn envelope. I've tried to give this to you for years, she whispered. It's for my son. Agents moved to stop her. Trump waved them away. She handed him the letter with trembling hands. He opened it. Dear Mom, if you're reading this, I didn't make it home. Please don't cry. I believe in the country I served. I believe in you. Tell people to care about each other. That's all that matters. The woman sobbed. Trump placed a hand on her shoulder. Your son's words will not disappear. He folded the letter and placed it inside his jacket. Laura watched, understanding something profound. She hadn't stopped the president. She had reminded one. And sometimes the smallest checkpoints guard the biggest truths. Trump nodded gravely. In that moment, Laura understood something extraordinary. Her simple act of enforcing procedure had opened a door, one she never intended to unlock, a door where buried stories could breathe, where grief could speak, where strangers felt safe enough to be honest. Maybe fate had placed her at that checkpoint for a reason. The terminal felt different now. The restless energy had faded, replaced by a quiet reverence. Phones were slowly lowered. Conversations dropped to whispers. Tears were brushed away by people who hadn't expected to feel anything at all in an airport that morning. Laura caught fragments drifting through the air. He read it out loud. That garden back down. Did you see that woman's face? Her supervisor leaned in sharply. This is way above your pay grade. Laura, just let them handle it. Laura shook her head gently. I'm not trying to handle anything, she said. I'm just doing my job. Somehow, that had become something much bigger. Trump turned toward the crowd. Every day, people like Laura make sure the rules are applied fairly. No shortcuts. No favoritism. That's integrity. He gestured toward the grieving mother. And every day, families like hers carry burdens most of us can't imagine. That's strength. Soft applause rose, not thunderous, but sincere. Laura felt heat rush to her face. She wasn't a hero. She was a divorced mother struggling to keep up with rent, a woman who packed lunches at midnight and worried constantly about her 7-year-old daughter, Sophie. Yet here stood the president, speaking her name. The attention made her uneasy. Then another voice broke the stillness. Mr. President, may I show you something too? A young man in his early 20s stepped forward, clutching a photograph. His hands trembled. Trump accepted it carefully. The image showed a soldier in uniform, arm around a younger boy, both smiling wide. That's my brother Anthony, the young man said. He never came home. I was 12 when he died. I promised I'd keep his memory alive, but sometimes it feels like the world forgets. Trump studied the photo, then placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. Anthony isn't forgotten. Not today. Not ever. You kept your promise. The young man broke down, clutching the photo to his chest. Laura's throat tightened. She thought of Sophie. What if one day her daughter only had a picture of her? Her fingers curled against the podium. Trump returned the photo gently. Carry this always. Let it remind you that sacrifice gives meaning to freedom. No one can erase that. The young man nodded, unable to speak. Laura felt dizzy. She had stopped the bag. Now strangers were revealing their deepest wounds. The checkpoint no longer felt like a checkpoint. It felt like sacred ground. And suddenly, Laura felt something rising inside her. A need, not as an officer, not as a guard, but as a human being. Sir, she said softly. Trump turned back. Yes. My brother, Mark, served in Afghanistan. He came home, but not whole. He has PTSD. Some days he can't leave his house. I try to help, but I don't always know how. And sometimes I worry people forget the ones who survived too. Her voice cracked. The words spilled before she could stop them. Trump's expression softened. You're right, he said. We honor the fallen, but the living carry invisible scars. That pain deserves to be seen. Many in the crowd nodded. Trump reached into the metal box again and pulled out a letter. There's one in here from a veteran who feels exactly that. He opened it. I came home alive, but every night I die again in my dreams. I don't need medals. I need people to see me, not the uniform. I'm still fighting inside. Laura pressed her lips together, tears filling her eyes. Mark wasn't alone. She wasn't alone. Trump folded the letter and looked at her. You fought for safety today. You're fighting for your brother every day. Don't ever doubt the difference you make. Her tears fell freely now. The applause that followed wasn't for a president. It was for a woman who refused to bend. Then Trump did something unexpected. He took another folded letter from the box and placed it gently into Laura's hand. Keep this one. Laura stared down at the envelope, hand shaking. For when you forget how much you matter, Trump added. Laura closed her fingers around it, in a place built for departures. She had been given something to carry forever. Read it when you feel like giving up, Trump said quietly. It helped me. I believe it will help you too. Laura stared at the envelope resting in her palm. She could feel its weight, not physical, but emotional, as if the words inside were already pressing against her heart, waiting. Secret Service agents shifted nearby, clearly aware of the clock. Trump didn't rush. He turned once more toward the crowd. Sometimes the most important lessons don't come from people in power, he said. They come from ordinary individuals who remind us what truly matters. With that, he finally headed toward his gate. Laura remained frozen. Her life had just changed, and she hadn't even opened the letter yet. The terminal slowly returned to motion, but the energy felt different. Quieter, heavier, reverent. A few travelers stopped to thank Laura. You did the right thing. That took courage. She barely heard them. Her attention never left the envelope. Stepping aside near her checkpoint, she carefully unfolded the letter. The handwriting was gentle, flowing. To whoever finds this, life will test you. It will make you feel invisible, forgotten, small. But remember this. Your duty, no matter how ordinary it seems, can change the course of someone else's life. Do your part even when no one is watching. Especially then. Laura covered her mouth. It felt written for her. She thought of every early morning shift, every ignored thank you. Every day she wondered if any of it mattered. Tears slipped down her cheeks. It did matter. She folded the letter and tucked it into her pocket, like a promise. By morning, everything had changed. A video of the encounter had gone viral overnight. Millions of views. Clips of Laura stopping Trump. The letters. The grieving mother. Hashtags flooded social media. Hashtag the guard who stopped Trump. Hashtag duty and honor. Hashtag integrity matters. Laura panicked at first. Then she read the comments. She treated everyone equally. This restored my faith in people. We need more Lauras. Respect, not ridicule. The call that mattered most came that afternoon. Mark, her brother. I saw what you did, he said quietly. You made me feel seen. Laura broke down. One sentence meant more than every headline. At work, co-workers smiled differently now. Even her supervisor admitted, "You handled that better than I would have." Laura realized something simple and powerful. Small courage creates big ripples. 3 days later, her phone rang. Unknown caller. Washington, D.C. Ms. Bennett, please hold for the president. Laura nearly dropped the phone. Laura, Trump said, I've been thinking about that day. You reminded me leadership isn't about standing above the rules. It's about standing within them. She swallowed. I'd like to invite you and your daughter to the White House. Laura looked at Sophie coloring beside her. Us. Yes. I want to show you something you helped start. The following week, Laura and Sophie stepped into the White House. Sophie squeezed her mother's hand. Mommy, it's really big. Trump greeted them warmly and knelt to Sophie's height. Your mom is very brave. Sophie smiled proudly. She's my hero. Laura nearly cried. Trump led them into a quiet hall. Inside were glass displays, letters, photographs, drawings, dog tags, folded flags. Trump gestured around the room. We're creating an exhibit called Voices of Service. These stories won't sit in a box anymore. They'll travel across the country so people can see the real cost of service. Laura's knees weakened. All of this from one bag check. Sophie whispered, Mommy, all these people had stories. Laura nodded. Yes, sweetheart. And now they're being heard. Trump looked at Laura. You reminded me these voices deserve light. Weeks later, Laura convinced Mark to visit. He was tense, withdrawn, until he stopped in front of one letter, the same one Trump had read aloud. I came home alive, but every night I die again in my dreams. Mark whispered, That's me. Laura took his hand. You're not alone anymore. He hugged her. For the first time in years, he felt seen. The exhibit traveled nationwide. Airports, schools, community centers. Families cried. Veterans talked. Young people learned what service truly meant. Laura returned to work. Same uniform, same checkpoint. But everything felt different. She still followed every rule, still treated everyone equally. One afternoon, a nervous young recruit approached. Are you Laura Bennett? She smiled. Yes. The one who stopped the president? She shook her head gently. I'm the one who did her job. The recruit nodded. That's what inspires me. As he walked away, Laura felt warmth settle in her chest. Her legacy wasn't fame. It wasn't headlines. It was proof that ordinary people, through integrity and quiet courage, can change the world. And that was enough.